Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time. It is Wednesday, and that means we speak to Matt, the mortgage guy. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, Mike. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. So let's talk about the mortgage market. Let's talk about a mortgage update. I think about 4 weeks ago, we kind of broke news that the mortgage brokers are going to start starving. Then we had better.com do something silly. So again, we called that before it happened. We didn't actually call the company, but we called the fact that some companies are going to have to reset because they are algorithmic versus customer service. Not a good mix in a changing market. But what's going on in the mortgage market? Because I see lots of interesting things.
Yeah, I mean, I think that in general, week before Christmas, week before New Year's, these are going to be some of the slowest weeks in mortgage. But like we've talked about in the past and like we've seen, more aggressive, a shrinking pie of people who actually have a net tangible benefit from refinance. And so I don't know if we talked about this before, but I had an interesting conversation with somebody who worked inside one of these call center mortgage places, and interesting stuff. When they're going after a certain, target, not necessarily demographic, but they're like, hey, we want to do more cash out refinances. They give these folks tools to run people in circles.
Oh, right? My goodness.
And you wouldn't be surprised. This person who I talked to was actually telling me about a insider secret where she said they would give us this tool where we could tell somebody, hey, pull out your credit card statements. Tell me what you got. Oh, you got this $16,000 card with a 9% interest rate. You've got, $12,000 on this card, and that's a 16% interest rate. They would go through, they would plug in amortization with the mortgage, and they'd say, listen, Mr. or Mrs. Buyer, although you see 2.875 on your mortgage, all this debt blended rate is 6%. So I want to refinance you into 3.5. It sounds higher than what you currently got, but it's lower than that blended rate. A couple problems I see with this.
Couple? Damn near criminal with it, these people are
I mean, and the crazy part is, Mike, like we talked about this before, to an average consumer.
Oh, it sounds good.
Even to a consumer that might have a little bit of, financial savvy, like this might make sense.
Let me say something right here, folks. Mortgage brokers are going to start to starve. They are going to use these.
Okay, hold on.
Go ahead.
Don't use the term mortgage brokers.
Oh, I'm
mortgage
sorry.
Mortgage brokers are the good guys.
What else should I say?
Maybe mortgage folks as a whole. But the bad guys.
What are they called? Yeah.
The bad guys are
AI driven boxes?
More call center type.
Okay.
Mortgage
call centers. Not it, because what I'm trying to separate is the big companies that are trying to invest in technology and just churn and burn, right? Low cost provider, that folks. And again, I have some of them. I did a couple of loans with one of them like 2 years ago. They're blowing up my phone. I'm like, you guys are crazy. No, go away. It doesn't make any financial sense. But again, if you're being called by one of those, they're going to use, I'll say it, unethical means to convince you. And it's going to sound good. Talk to a mortgage broker who cares. If the mortgage broker doesn't ask you questions, you're in trouble. They're just forced. They're running a script. If they ask you to go get your credit card statement, that's probably a red flag.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, imagine too, and like for somebody who hears that, they're like, what's the problem? What's the issue with that? Your credit card is not something you want to finance over 30 years.
30 years.
Now, there are probably scenarios where you can keep your rate the same. You've got $70,000 in credit card debt. Yes, pay all that off, reset, don't put money back on those credit cards. But to let somebody, smoke and mirror you into thinking that like, oh yeah, you got a blended rate of this and now you're going to refinance into this is really just a sales tactic. And I think that's kind of a recurring theme of these conversations we're having is like, as the pie shrinks, as there's less and less refinance to be had, and all these companies who have thousands of employees, a lot of them, trying to pump up their numbers, whether that's because they're going to go public and sell or whatever the case may be, like at any, by any means necessary, they're trying to sell you. Don't be sold. Talk to a professional who's helping provide a plan, know what you're looking to do, know what your goals are. And, sometimes I talk to people and it's fun because they might not know what their goals are. The conversation you have with the mortgage broker who's trying to dig that out is going to be eye-opening for you too, because, you know, I had conversations over the weekend where I said, help get me in your shoes.
Yeah.
What does next year look like? What does 3 years look like? What does 5 years? And through this conversation, I told this person, it sounds like this property is something you're going to keep. You're not going to sell, based on like some weird stipulations about this mortgage this person had. If not occupying, needed to refinance it. And so I said, if you're going to keep it and you know you have to refinance it, even though, you know, you don't necessarily want to right now, if I was you, I would do it now versus 6 months from now, a year from now, because rates then more than likely going to be higher. And so that's the type of conversation you want to have. That's the kind of stuff where
you want to partner in this. You want to reach out to greatmortgagebroker.com. Did I get it right?
Yes.
Eventually going to remember that. You want to reach out to greatmortgagebroker.com, especially if you're a one rental at a time fan, because what Matt and his team are going to do for you is they're going to ask questions and they're going to listen. Their natural reaction is not going to be to jam you into a program, right? They're going to see if it makes sense. And I've gotten now hundreds of feedback about you and the team. So, you know, I feel very good about saying
I
that.
just thought of an idea for next week. Next week, since this is the last week of 2021, we're going to talk about 2022 goals, and specifically how, if you're a real estate investor, aspiring investor, somebody who follows Mike and one rental at a time and wants to do something, get clear. Because when you get clear, it helps us.
Yeah.
It helps the people that are trying to help you say, okay, it's really clear what you're trying to do, based on you telling me exactly what you want to do in 2022, what you want to get accomplished in the next 5 years, what your big goal is for 10 years. I can show you the path, but if I have no idea what your end destination is, it's going to be hard to give you directions to get there.
Well, you know what? I got very good news for you, because my 9 o'clock canceled. So we can do it next. If
All
you
right.
have time.
Coming next.
Coming next. I like it. So again, what I would want to say about the mortgage, kind of the mortgage update, I got some numbers this morning. Refis were up, I think 2% week on week, down 42% year on year. That's the mortgage market shrinking. Purchases were actually down, even though rates fell a tick. Very interesting time. So again, very interesting stuff in the mortgage market. And yeah, let's do that goal setting for 2022, because I think it's going to be pretty interesting.
Okay. Yeah. And I'll say a quick word on purchase being down, at least what I'm seeing in my local area.
Yep.
There's not a lot of inventory. You know, we know inventory is low. People aren't listing their homes the last 2 weeks.
No, exactly.
And so, you know, purchases are going to be down because there's nothing to be purchased. Right?
Yeah, Redfin, exactly that. Redfin this morning said it's a record low inventory for, again, reported for end of November. So
and
tough
it
to have
doesn't
sales.
Doesn't surprise me that refinance is up. And here's what happens is, like, the market is even more rate sensitive now to these little ticks. Like, rates haven't moved a ton, but all they got to do is move a little, like, you know, 3.16 to 3.13. And those call centers start blowing up. They're calling Mike, they're calling me, they're calling everybody.
Yeah, very cool. I appreciate it, man. Well, I look forward to goal setting 2022. Let's do it. Thanks.
Let's do it.